Hi everybody! It's time for the June 2020 tour of the Desert Cottage Garden out front. There's Miss Molly. Hi Molly. I do apologize if I cough at all through this. You can't see it in the sky, but we have a lot of smoke in the air today. There are quite a few fires burning around us. I believe it's 5 or 6. There's a couple in Arizona. There are a couple outside of Albuquerque, kind of surrounding us south and north, and there's a couple in Colorado. And the smoke will blow in to the city when that happens, and most of them are very poorly contained. I think there's only 2 that were small fires that are 100% contained right now. The others are like 2 or 3% contained, so it's pretty severe. And that is what happens when you live in New Mexico. And we are in a pretty dry year so far. And the fires are mostly set by, human mistake or lightning strike. And one of the largest ones was a lightning strike that got started. And they're working on it, but we're getting a lot of smoke. Look, have a look at the little bees working. Got little bees working. Aren't they looking cute? They do love the Russian sage. So this year I have just about a third of the bees that I had last year. So it's a lot less. However, I have been reading that they're having a better year. So I'm thinking maybe people have put out more plants for the bees to be enjoying. So it could just be that they're a little bit more spread out than they were last year. So that's what I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it's a positive thing, not a negative thing. And all I can do is, provide the food for them. So there it is. So the Russian sage clearly is doing quite well. And of course, that's a very good thing for New Mexico to grow because they grow without much help at all. These plants I'm only watering once a month now. So they're doing really good for that. And then this maple tree's looking real good, the Japanese maple. It's got some struggles from getting a little burnt in the sun, but as it gets older, it'll do better with that. The trunk has gotten larger already, and it has grown just a little bit, and we have new leaves coming in on it. So I'm real happy with how it's doing, and it does grow here. I've seen it growing here in New Mexico too, so I'm real happy with that. And look, we have our cooking sage is getting real big. It started out, like that big, and now, poof, there it is, big. So I'm hoping to cut some of that this year. I've been leaving it alone because it's so little, but we'll go ahead and start cutting it, and that'll help it grow more too. I put in these little solar lamps that I have right now just on a piece of wood for a base because of the wind here is so intense and that they'll just blow right over. So I'm either going to put gravel over top of them, or I'll dig them out, dig the dirt down and put them in the dirt a little bit. And then let's take a look behind the Russian sage over here. Our little rose is doing quite well. Isn't that looking good? Now, it had a bloom, and I didn't make it out here before the bloom got dried up. So hopefully I'll catch it next time. I have a little fountain that's not on right now. I keep it on a timer because I don't want to use too much water. So I just have it on in the evenings. And I keep meaning to come out here and do a little video in the evening, but I just haven't gotten to it. So later this month, maybe. Our blue juniper is looking really good. Another thing that grows really well with very little water. It is now being watered once a month. That's down to once a month as well. And then back here, we've got some sunflowers in the pot. I had put a bunch of sunflowers in along here to grow up this trellis, but none of them came up. Just looks like one. And then I've got a vine in here, I think is a trumpet vine. I had put one in here and I thought I had dug it out because I thought it died. But maybe I just thought it died and I didn't dig it out. And it's come back nicely this year. Trumpet vines can get really huge, so I will have to cut it back. Also, it gets really brown in the winter, so I don't really care for that. But I've got nice trellis for it to grow up, and looks like I have a really big weed right there. It's still, I've got a couple of really big weeds along the back wall here that I really need to get working on. Oh, and look, the very first bloom on this rose. Oh, it's so lovely. Look at that color. We've got more buds about to go. It's like a pinkish yellow. Isn't that lovely? This one's the Wellerton Old Hall. It is now up to the second rung here. So it's got some good growth. Real happy with that. Rosemary's huge. And I think it's funny, it collects these little dove feathers. Because the doves love the arbor. They hang out on the arbor all the time. I'm going to have to cut back the rosemary. It's a good problem. I like having a good problem. That's good. This rose is getting tall. I don't have any buds or blooms on it lately. It's supposed to, bud and bloom all year. So I hope we'll see more soon. And it, too, is up to the second rung. So that's nice. This is a clematis. It's struggling a little bit. The Leland cypress is looking really good. They grow really well here as well. And then the desert willow. I wanted to show you. So here's the seed pods have started right here. And that's what droops down, making it look a little bit willow-like. Also, the leaf is a little willow-like, even though it is not a willow tree. In fact, it's the opposite. It takes very little water. So here's some more drooping. See how they droop? That is so cool. It is about halfway grown up. So it should reach about 20 feet tall. And I think it's at the very top, I think it's about 8 feet tall. When you first plant them, if you water them regularly, they grow really fast. Well, actually, anytime. They just grow super fast if you're watering them regularly, but they don't need it. So once it got to this year, I was watering it pretty regular. But this year, I am now just once a month. And it's been super dry. If it rains, I won't water it. But if it doesn't, if it doesn't rain by July, I'll go ahead and water it. But hopefully in July we'll get our monsoon rains. We'll see how it goes this year. We never know for sure from year to year. And it's in all indications it's a pretty dry year. So as I've said before, I'm glad I put all of this stuff in during the wet years because we had a few wet years there while I've been working on things, so it helps. But anyhow, I want to show you these seed pods. They break off and drop. I do try to cut them back. Eventually I won't be able to because it's just too tall. Well, it's getting windy out. Try to protect the mic from all the wind. Anyway, it'll get too tall. I won't be able to get the seed pods, but they grow really fast and they drop places. So this is, let's see if I can see it. Yep, here it is. This is a baby one. And that is the size that I started with 3 summers ago. And now it's that big. So when they drop the little seed pods and the little trees start to pop up, like here's one here. You just got to pull them. You can't weed eat them because they will just come back. So this year I've noticed a lot of them because we've had a lot of seeds drop for a while. And they're ending up in a few places I'm going to let them grow because I really like the tree. But you can't really grow right there. It's going to crowd everything else out. So we'll pull that one out. But Otherwise, that's a good thing. Let's see, let's go around here. So the firewood storage has turned out to be really, really great. It's a good block. It's a good definition of the side yard. Molly cannot see from her window what the neighbor's doing anymore, so she won't yell all day long at him. So that's nice. Also, this is out in the open. They're not up against anything, so things don't try to live in it like squirrels. Little lizards hang out here, which is fine because they catch the spiders. So I don't mind the lizards hanging out. They can hang out. Over here, I'm going to be putting a lamppost in that pot. The plum trees are doing great. They do well here in Albuquerque. Up higher in elevation, I don't think plum trees do too well there. When I was in higher elevation, I did have cherry trees. They did well. Okay, so this rose finally did bloom, but I didn't get to it before that dried up. And we do have some buds happening. I've got some buds here and here. So it seems to have gotten over the shock of freezing late. So I'm glad about that. The little daylilies are starting to be done, I think, for the year. And I don't really know what these are, but they grow everywhere, and I think they're lovely. And they have such a nice light little flower. I think it turns into a bush. I'm not positive, but I'll let it grow because I think it's pretty. The Spanish broom is done blooming for the year. And now you can see it's got its little seed pods on it. Later this winter, I will cut it back so it can thicken. So it'll be thicker as it grows. And then up over here, the crocus has started to bloom. We've got some buds on the crocus. That's looking pretty good. You can see how the sun is harsh on these things. You see the tips are actually burnt. And that's just from the sun. That's from the high heat. I was hoping that this tree would give it enough shade, but it hasn't gotten big enough to do that yet. Eventually it will. Our grasses are growing nice. They're real happy. And like I said last time, I've cut back watering these. The little ones I'm still giving attention to. The little Korean dwarf lilac is doing fine, and this rose is looking good. Got some nice red blooms. They're so pretty. Roses are another thing that do really well in New Mexico because it is so dry. They don't get any of the illnesses that humidity causes for them. We have very, very little humidity here. They do need to be regularly watered, but not a lot, so that's good. All right, let's head down here and see what's going on down here. Our rosemary's getting pretty big. The thyme is doing well. The miniature spruce looks good. The Russian sage is getting big down here. It'll spread like the other ones back there. And over here, we have some more of those little trees popping up. There's one in here, and then another tiny one there, and I'm letting them grow because I would like to have some shade along here. So that'll be nice, and they're easy to take care of. So let's go up over here and show you what's going on over here. I got the shutters restained, so that's good. I still have touch up to do after the lime wash. And over here, I've just pretty much neglected it. But I think I might have a couple of the desert willow trees coming up over here. If I'm right, they might be weeds. I won't know until they get a little bit taller. Once they're a little taller, then I'll know. So I'm going to let them go, but I try to pull anything that has like stickers, like these. These are awful. These little ones are just awful, so I got to get those out. They're like little bunches of grass like that, and then they get those terrible stickers on them. I don't have any goat heads out here anymore because I got them all pulled before they went to seed. I'd like to put a lamppost right there. Oh, sorry, the smoke's bad. I wanted to talk about the shutter here. So I know I talked about it before, but these are made out of screen doors. So there's 3 of those little wooden screen doors, and then the bamboo is fencing that is stapled on the back, and then I sealed it with a 1x2 lath, screwed that on there. It's attached at the bottom, and then at the top it's piano hinged and attached to the wall there. And as I've mentioned before, we have huge winds. This has been up now 3 years. I think it's been 3 years, and it's held its own. And it cuts the amount of heat that goes into that particular room through the windows and gives a nice filtered light. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about my trellises that I have built. These are tree stakes. They're attached at the eave and anchored at the bottom. These are bamboo stakes that are just tied on. I have yarn right now, but it should be twine, and eventually I'll replace all that with twine. Along here, I have these little boxwood bushes that they grow so slow. Oh my goodness, they grow slow. But this is a tough spot for things to grow, so I'm always looking for stuff that will manage. The tulips came up nicely this year, but now they're, died back till next year. I put in hay along here to help protect the ground from the hot sun. So this wall has been amazing. I know I talk about it now for 2 months straight, but I don't care. It's just so amazing. Changing the brick with the lime wash has made a huge difference. And as you can see, it's, the nice thing about it is not like solid paint. And some of it's kind of worn off just a little bit, and that's good. I want it to have that look. The other thing is I have the problem I saw with it is it's not a problem, but it shows all the little holes in the chinking, so I'm going to have to go back, and I have the mortar. I just haven't done it because it's been hot and I'm tired. So I'll probably do that in the fall because it's a big project. Thinking about filling all the little holes throughout the whole house. It's a big job. So I'll probably do that in the fall. Anyhow, back to things having a hard time growing here because of this wall. So this wall before, when it was, just the red brick, would get so hot I couldn't touch the wall. You would walk over here and it would hit you on the side of the face, the heat that emanated from this wall. And last year I had a thermometer, and I don't know if you remember any of those videos, a temperature gauge, that I sat down here on the ground. It wasn't even on the wall, but it was on the ground, and it would get to 280 degrees. And then it broke. It just got too hot. I guess after a while it just broke. That's how hot it would get over here. Now yesterday I came out and it's been over 100 degrees out here, which would have made this wall untouchable. And I could just put my hand on it and it was just warm. It wasn't hot. It wasn't cold, but it wasn't hot. It was just warm. So by changing the color, the sun is now reflecting off of the wall instead of being absorbed into the brick. Where you live, where it's really cold, brick absorbing the sun is a great idea. But where you live, where it's really hot and dry, you don't want it absorbing the heat. So the white has been fantastic. And so far, our electric bill has been lower by $20 to $30 a month. We'll see how July goes. I'll let you know. but it definitely has helped. So I have things that have a hard time growing right along here because it's super hot, even with, the wall being better. But these little bushes are hanging out and doing okay. I've got a clematis that's growing here, sort of. And then the chives, they love growing right here. Chives are actually kind of hard to kill. So I figure, hey, if they want to grow, let them grow. That's my whole plan. And then right here, if you'll see, in different places, I have these little bottles. They're old soda bottles that I've poked holes in the bottom and buried. And then I fill them with water, and it holds the water. And then you use less water, and the plants survive nicely. So there you go. There's that. And there's the information on all the tree stakes and all the plants. So really, as I stand out here smelling the smoke from the fire, I'm really very happy that I've planted things that really like it here in New Mexico. I don't want to be spending a whole lot of time on them. I also don't want to waste water on them. So it's been really nice to see how well things have done. Again, when you start them out, they need a lot of attention. They do need extra water. But as you go, then they don't anymore. So I've talked about this last time, but let's go over what everything has been cut down to. So the juniper tree, once a month. The rosemary, not at all, because when I water the grass around it, it absorbs enough. The Russian sage, once a month. The lemon balm, I don't water at all because it absorbs enough when I water the rose. Roses are watered every other day. And they don't get very much. The Leland cypress is still being watered twice a week because they're still young. The desert willow is once a month. These trees, the Leland cypress, will be cut back next year to once a week, but right now it's twice a week. The recommendation here in Albuquerque is water before 11 and after 7 in the high heat 3 times a week, as things go down to 2 times a week. So I'm real happy with things going to 2 times a week. Excuse me, so sorry. The plum trees are twice a week, which is really great because they're very young, and I'm real happy with the fact that they're only, so much wind, sorry, only twice a week now. And I think, next year we might be down to once a week. We'll see. The grasses are very little, twice a week, and everything down at the bottom are twice a week because they get a lot of sun. But that's pretty good because when I first put everything in, it was every day as when they're brand new for the first couple of months, and then after that we cut back. The Mexican feathergrass, I don't water at all. They just pop up, which is great. All right, guys, I hope that was informative and fun, and I hope you have a great day out there. See you all soon.